Dr. Jeff Pierce. And Doc, as always, we certainly do appreciate the time. I don't even know where to begin. And look, like you've been around a lot of sports teams in your career, obviously. I asked DMAC this, I'll ask you. Have you ever seen attrition like this before in a sports team?
I mean, yes, but not where we're winning. It's kind of like the little injuries. Like we've had some major injuries, like you got an ACL, you got fractures. These are major injuries, but we've had teams, I could say, that were not in the battles of the playoffs, that little nagging things would add up. But no, not like this where we're fighting for it. Like the Red Wings, we've always had stuff, but stuff we could play through or secret sauce them and get them out there and deal with it at the end of the season. But to have the level of fractures and ACLs, just stuff that's, it's black and white with those things. It's not like a hamstring where we can wrap it, or a shoulder injury or an ankle.
There's no tricks of the trade, right?
You can't get by. We can't put where I say, an 80% player is better than a 100% backup player. We don't have that option. I mean, with a few of our injuries, but some of the big boys, no, we don't have that option. So the answer is no. This is a very unique season.
DMAC, you had a question about the secret sauce that I thought was pretty good.
Doc, I just wondered if I was thinking about this earlier. Now, the secret sauce to the regular season, the secret sauce to the playoffs, but the secret sauce on a short week, like this with injuries, is there different levels to the secret sauce, or is there only like one secret sauce?
Do you have an emergency secret sauce?
The secret sauce is a very encompassing answer, which we kind of have used that well through our relationship here. But yeah, I mean, there are secret, like recovery. There's secret sauce. Like when on a short week, we're talking about recovery. We're talking about certain things that need to happen in a short period of time. We have different methods.
No, I think that the whole point too is a lot of times, and I'll go back to experience or whatever the secret sauce. So the whole thing is to get you to a point where you're not going to make it any worse. And then the secret sauce helps you sort of maintain that. But with what these injuries are we're looking at with the Lions, I mean, 18 guys on the IR and stuff like this.
It's crazy.
We know Hutch is, like serious because it's the break and stuff like this. But are a lot of these injuries that we see something that is just going to be nagging, or are these something that guys can get ahead of, and once they're back in, they should be good, or is it a combination?
It's going to be a combination. I mean, like I said, the three big ones are ACLs, are fractures. I mean, there's no question what's going on there. Some of the others, like the ankles and the shoulders and the hamstrings, we're going to rest those until we really need them, because right now I think management is looking at that we need a solid team for playoffs. I mean, it's a very good percentage we're making the playoffs. Let's get these guys rested. Let's get some other guys some reps under their belt, and our quality guys that are in that gray zone of injury. And I can't even label all of them because there's so many. But I think we're just resting them because we have the luxury of a 10-1. We're 10-1.
11. Yep.
11-1 now. That we can rest them a little bit and take advantage and get some other guys some reps, because when these guys do come back, will they be 100%, or are they doing 70% of the game and we need the other guys for that 30%? So it's a business management of it, as opposed to Hutch that, I don't know if you want to get into that now. I wanted to talk about Reeder's shoulder
and we are
and
going to get
stuff
to
like
that.
But Hutch is ahead of schedule. This guy's doing everything to perfection. He's ahead of schedule, which is what's needed. I mean, you guys had a great video out about him, doing a shout out to one of his young followers about him walking, learning to walk again, and that's what it is. And we've made that prediction about the water, and now you got to learn how to walk, and you got to get that muscle firing pattern. And there's small muscles, large muscles, fast twitch, slow twitch, all those things, proprioception, all those fancy terms we're using, all have to play a role in what he's doing. And there's a series of doing it. Like, people think we just walk, right? Like I just know how to lift the weight. No, there's unbelievable circuitry in your body that makes you be able to grab a milk out of the refrigerator. That's what has to happen, because a lot of that shuts down with an injury. It's a lot of retraining.
Woodward Sports chat thread. And, Doc, I do want to get into the guys who are hurt but still will be able to play, i.e. DJ Reader. I'm going to do that in a second. But I got 3 of these questions in a row. Skydog 722, Robert Closia, Anakin Skyogre. Neil, maybe you can ask Doc why the Lions' D is so brittle. Does any of this fall on the conditioning coach? Does the Lions' defense need to drink more milk? And those are the questions.
Don't drink milk. That's worse.
A lot of sugar
Milk
in milk.
is old school, man.
Yeah.
Gotta go back to whole milk. We've been asked a couple times that I don't see any neglect or, I think these are just, the big injuries obviously are unfortunate. We look at them, we see what's going on, even like Reader's injury. That was just an over-aggressive thing. I think what's going on with the team right now is their mentality is 100% isn't good enough. I'm going 110% every play, which means your collisions are harder. You're more active. Do they need to tone that back? Maybe. Do I think strength and conditioning? No, strength and conditioning is, these guys are powerful. They're moving at a level, like I said before, we'll call it 10 gears. Some teams are playing in that 5 to 7 range. We're always 8, 9, 10, 11 gear with all of our players. Nobody's holding back at any position, which is going to lead to a higher percentage of injury when you're doing that. So when you're doing 0 to 5, there's an injury because you're playing too soft. That 5 to 7, you're coasting. That 7 to 10, I'm labeling like the secret sauce. That's where I think the Lions have been 100% of the time, if not in that 11th gear, a lot of times playing.
Well, that's a great segue, Doc, because I did want to talk about DJ Reader. And I think the video we have, and for those that don't know, you saw that on Thursday, had a shoulder issue, had to come out of the game. Now, word on the street, they're expecting DJ Reader to play.
Good. He said he's good to go.
He said he said as much in the postgame.
Yes.
He's like, hey, I'm gonna be back out there. But I think that this video piece, Doc, really drives home what you were just talking about. And for those that maybe didn't see it, I know Spenny's got it listed. Spenny's got it loaded into the system. The shoulder, like just an overreach, kind of a subluxation, I guess you could say that causes a sprain. And it is. It's a guy that's going at it, a guy that's going hard, and he's a big man. So when he goes down and the arm's extended, when the rest of his weight comes down, he's just trying to make a play, and he's leaving it out there.
Yeah, I mean, I always talk about physics and vectors. Do we actually have the play? I see we're putting the shoulder up now, the anatomy. So we're pulling it apart. So it's the arm bone, right, the humerus, going into the socket. So it's a ball and socket. So what he did, Spence, do we have the actual play?
We can't play the actual play. No,
we'll get copyright.
All right, so should we reenact it then?
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically, he's diving out, and his shoulder, so all his momentum of his body is going one way. His shoulder hit first, which caused that separation effect.
Yeah.
So you'll see that separation effect. That's the muscle, which is great around. Those are the deltoid muscles. Then we're breaking down to the actual joint there. And then there's the labrum, which are, if the shoulder's going to come out of place, people are like, oh, I dislocated my shoulder. Right there equals to a doctor or trainer is that you have some type of partial tear. As quickly as it pops back in, I don't think it needs to be relocated. I think it's separated, as we saw with all that momentum, is that the force of his body's going one way, his shoulder popped up another way, and that shoulder's just going to give, and you're going to see the anatomy of the small ligaments inside.
That's interesting because I've never seen like it before. Like I've seen the injuries a lot. I've never seen like what happens like this. This is pretty interesting.
Yeah, so you'll see the humor, the ball and socket comes in, the humerus comes into the joint, and that's going to come up out of the socket. And there's ligaments, the labrum, outside of the rotator cuff. Everybody knows the rotator cuff are the 4 big muscles that surround it, which probably saved him. But the labrum's a little bit more fragile, which he's probably got some. Nobody's going to look hard, but he's probably got some partial tears in that area that some of the secret sauce can help.
And that's how you deal with it, because that was going to be the next question. So how do you deal with it then, Doc?
Well, you'll deal with it. A lot of shoulder injuries, you're fine from the shoulder down, right? Like hockey's one of those sports you can play from the shoulder down. Lineman, you can play from the shoulder down. He may not be extending to block balls as much, but from here, he should still have his power. if it's an incomplete tear.
Damn.
And then you go from there. But he's not going to be the same. That shoulder is he's got a 100% one and an 80% one now.
It goes to show you though, like the line, right? Like literally the line is the shoulder line where you can be effective to where if you're in a situation where you have to go up, I don't want to say you're a liability, but your ability to perform is less.
Reduced,
yeah, it's less than.
No, it's true, but there's a lot of players that get through the season with shoulder injuries similar to that. You do things before to get him ready, and there's braces that you can do too, but the brace will limit his functionality out there. But he's so powerful from the shoulder down, he's going to be less powerful from the shoulder up.
Woodward Sports chat thread, Robert Colosia. These are good takes, Doc. Appreciate it. And yeah, I'm glad we did it too. Like I said, I've never seen the science on it before and what's happening because
I
obviously.
try to keep it simple science.
You need to for me, Doc, because I am very much not a medical person. I know how to pay my insurance deductible. That's about where my knowledge, my medical knowledge stops. Real K77. You guys can't replay what happened. That's messed up. That's NFL copyright laws.
Yeah.
It's their footage.
They want all they change.
Yeah, and YouTube has programs in place that AI programs that will catch it and flag it. And,
he didn't
that's
like my
works.
reenactment.
Yeah, I guess not. James in the Woodward Sports chat. Doc knows his ish, so it's out there as well. But again, I mean, Doc, survive in advance, right? Like, find a way.
Yeah, I got my buddy that was on with us from Philadelphia. He's giving me all those headlines out of Philly. I'm okay with the Lions maybe creeping down as a little bit more of the underdog. Let Philadelphia have the target on their back for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean it's a situation. How much more can they take, Doc? Like, this can't continue at this pace, right?
Which basketball team was next man up? Was that Golden State? Who was it? That's the mentality, next man up. And they're doing it. And someone else says, I think Terry said on Friday, these guys are learning as we go. We're watching these guys develop in front of us. So I think, glass half full, create lemonade. We're giving other guys chances. So if we do have issues at the end, we have a larger bench of guys with more experience. We'll play it at that. And all of our small little injuries, they'll be ready for playoffs. All these small little injuries we have, I think Alex is going to be back. He's going to be casted up. Hutch is, we could talk about Hutch the whole time. He's definitely ahead of schedule. It was funny. I was at the game for Thanksgiving. A lot of people are yelling out, Dr. Pierce, Hutch playing or not. So it was a lot of love for Woodward Sports there. But, I'm guaranteeing he's going to beat that 6-month period, that 4-month. The Lions have to do their job. They have to get into the playoffs. We got to win those games. We got to go long enough so he can be back playing with it.
I know we're running a few minutes long here, but a couple people have asked in here. Just real quick, your take on Christian McCaffrey.
I love it. I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it a little bit more. I'm going on record that I used him as the poster child for young kids to train like he should, with all his plyometrics, all his explosiveness. I don't know if this is part of the light bulb theory.
Yes.
When one light bulb goes out, the rest are going to start going out. That's not the case here, but it's the car. The car's still going to go down the street, but everything's out of alignment. And I don't know if that's an alignment thing for him. So it's the posterior cruciate ligament, as opposed to Rodriguez, that was the anterior. So, in the knee, you got the knee joint, we got the ligaments, we got all the muscle, but when you tear it down, it's the ACL, the anterior cruciate ligament, which is the one in front, which is the more common, versus the PCL. They didn't say it at Terry, he had a major strain of it. So the PCL is on the back side of it. So the most common injury that people can relate to is the car accident where your head-on collision and your knee hits the dashboard. So the forces of it, which is what happened to him on the play before, the forces drove his body forward, but the dashboard blocked him and it knocks it back. And that posterior ligament gives way. Did that make sense?
No, it does because
I can't get the anatomy up.
No, but Doc, like I'm sitting here cringing thinking about it because that's what it is. It's a car accident. It's these guys that are in the best shape of anybody in the world, and if anything, that hurts them in these scenarios, right? Because of the strength, and it's like the Hutch thing. The strength of the base is what makes the injury so severe, right?
Right. I mean, these guys they're not mobile. They're not like us where, you push me, I'm going to move.
Fall over, right.
These guys I'm not moving.
Doc, we could do the whole show with you today, but you'll be back at it on Thursday with Ermanni and Edwards as well. I'm sure you'll save all the good stuff for that.
Attention sports fans, don't miss out on Expert Sports Injury Insight with Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. Join Dr. Pierce every Tuesday during Big D Energy and Thursdays during Ermanni and Edwards, where he offers top-notch injury advice. Trust the guy that I trust. Dr. Jeff Pierce is here to keep you in the game and performing at your best. For more information, visit MichiganSportsandSpine.com or call 248-426-9944.